Welcome to the Wolverine Confidential podcast brought to you by Corewell Health. I am Andrew Kahn.
I'm Ryan Zook.
And I'm Aaron McMahon.
The Michigan football team hosts Washington on Saturday. What do the Wolverines need to do to bounce back from a disheartening loss, and can they do it? We preview the matchup coming up on Wolverine Confidential. Okay, Aaron and Ryan, good to be with you here Thursday afternoon, October 16th, just about 48 hours before Michigan hosts Washington at the Big House. 12:10, there you go, not noon, 12:10 kickoff, which will air on Fox. Had a full week of availability here with the Wolverines. Got head coach Sharon Moore, got offensive coordinator Chip Lindsey, got starting quarterback Bryce Underwood, for the first time since he's been here, outside of a post-game situation. I guess what were the key takeaways from the week? What stood out? What did you learn?
They're going back to basics again. We're 6 weeks into the year, and they're still focusing on fundamentals. They harped on tackles after the loss against USC on Saturday. That was big talking point on Monday with head coach Sharon Moore. He addressed it again. He said they're going to get back to the fundamentals and focusing on the basics again this week, and then hopefully things can turn around next, or this coming Saturday. So that was the main theme of the week, just kind of rehashing the loss to USC, diagnosing what went wrong. And then Michigan says it's going to try and fix it this week. We'll see if that's the case. After the week 2 loss against Oklahoma, they made some adjustments. We talked about it ad nauseum at that point. Working with the offensive line, improving some of the fundamental stuff, the drops, et cetera, at that point. So we'll see if they can turn things around. Because if not, the season could certainly go sideways here. So it's a critical juncture here, I think, for the Michigan season. Right, you win Saturday against Washington, and there's some wins to be had out there, at least on paper. And they could, make a push here at the end. But if fundamentals crop up again on Saturday against Washington, I wouldn't put it past them to come out, with another loss.
Yeah, I mean, if they lose Saturday, season's basically over. Like, you play then to beat Ohio State again, and that's that's kind of what your one remaining goal left for the season. And the interesting thing to me is Justice Haynes' situation and availability heading into Saturday. It sounds like he's questionable. We've talked about this all year, how important he is to this offense. And without him, I mean, that'd be a huge loss for a team that has relied on him a lot this year. It's tough to gauge at this point is a read on where he stands. But yeah, as we know, he didn't play after leaving the game in the first half against USC. And yeah, behind him you have Jordan Marshall, who would step into the lead role, but then after that, it's not a lot of experienced options. You got Bryce Kuzdal, who had a couple touches, but I think former walk on, and then freshman Jasper Parker, who's obviously a true freshman, very little experience so far too. So we'll see what happens there. But if Michigan's going to win this game, having him would be pretty vital.
I'd say it's 50-50 at this point, whether he plays. Sharon Moore sounded optimistic after the loss at USC on Saturday. He made a comment that he felt like Justice could have played in the second half, but they were being cautious in holding him out. He sounded optimistic again Monday morning when we spoke to him. And then he went on the Inside Michigan Football radio show Monday afternoon and more kind of categorized him as questionable. So we'll see where things stand at the end of the week. When we got offensive coordinator Chip Lindsey on Wednesday, he didn't want to lean either. He didn't want to give us indication either way, which way they were going to go with him. My guess is it'll probably be a game time decision. But even if that is the case, that tells me Justice probably won't be 100%. So that should certainly factor into any handicapping or trying to analyze this game, right? Because Michigan leans on him so much for offensive, for big plays. You saw what happened in the second half against USC. They didn't have him. It kind of, in a way, made them a little bit one-dimensional. Marshall held up fine, but I checked the stats this morning. He's got 90 carries in his Michigan career, and I think 3 of them have gone longer than 15 yards. So the explosive plays just aren't there with Jordan Marshall like they are with Justice Haynes.
Sharon Moore, when he talked to us, he was wearing his, his blue collar jacket with his first name tag there above the breast, and we all noticed it when he came in, and then he commented on it without being asked, saying that's we've got to get back to work. That's the reason he was wearing that jacket, his work jacket. And that's the kind of motivation that you could see at the college level, and it's I can see how it could be viewed as a little corny, but I'm fine with it, of course. But not surprisingly, and we've discussed this, the last few days outside of the pod, but just wanted to point it out here on the pod that, of course, some folks on social media have just ran with it. Either photoshopping or using AI to show Sharon Moore in various other outfits for different reasons. A chef's outfit because he's telling fans to let him cook, and a firefighter's uniform because, well, for various reasons. I saw a couple on that one, but one of them just kind of facing the fire and all that. So it was funny, I have to admit it, even though people are mean, but it's funny.
It recycled material too, right? Like we've seen the jacket before. It was something that was around when Jim Harbaugh was here. He got all the players those jackets, or at least the I think the seniors and the upperclassmen got those jackets. So they've been around for a while. Sharon's trying to bring it out. Whether it has any material impact on preparation this week, I don't know. Because at the end of the day, if you lose because of fundamentals, I mean, there's clearly an issue there. So they've got some work to do this week, and we'll get into it here in a minute. Certainly not going to get easier with a mobile quarterback either.
Yeah, I mean, like Andrew said, it is a little bit corny, but if you're a college head coach these days, I mean, you have to do whatever you can to keep your guys motivated. Because as we've seen across the country this year, it's easy for a team that goes into a season with high expectations to suffer a loss, and then for it to snowball into 1, 2, 3 losses, and all of a sudden you have a bunch of guys that look like they quit on the team and quit on the coach too. So you got to do whatever you can to keep the guys united, keep them motivated, and try and just eke out some wins here and continue to push forward.
So yeah, let's talk about this Washington team. Second year in the Big Ten now. They're 5-1 overall, 2-1 in the Big Ten. The lone loss came at home to number 1 Ohio State, 24-6. That game was scoreless after the first quarter. 7-3 at half. But Ohio State outscored them 10-0 in the fourth quarter, and just kind of slowly pulled away in that one. Those are the only points that Washington is allowed in the fourth quarter of a game. By the way, they're outscoring teams 80-10 in the fourth. Non-conference was nothing too impressive. Last couple of weeks, double-digit comeback wins. Two very different kind of comeback wins, though. Against Maryland, it was all late. They outscored Maryland 21-0 in the fourth to win 24-10. Rutgers, they were down 10-0 early, very early, before pulling away 38-19. That was on Friday night at home. Now they make the multiple time zone trip, which I posted about that on MLive.com today. Last week we talked about how the teams going to the West Coast, it hadn't gone so well. It's been a little better for the other teams, for the West Coast teams coming this way. 10-10 overall, 8-12 against the spread. Again, these are in Big Ten road games for the West Coast teams coming east. Since they joined the Big Ten last year. So Oregon's a big part of that. They're 5-0, straight up in those games. Washington lost all those games last year, but won the game at Maryland this year. So we'll see what kind of effect that has. But this is a very dangerous team.
Yeah, I mean, they're 5-1. It's hard to get a read on them. I mean, their schedule hasn't been exactly impressive. I mean, they played Colorado State, a UC Davis team. They gave up 24 points to Washington State. They held in there with Ohio State. I thought they played relatively well against them. They couldn't really score much, but it was a 3-score game pretty much the entire way. And then they beat the bottom of not the bottom of the Big Ten, but teams are struggling in Maryland and Rutgers. So they haven't really. They don't have a marquee victory yet, I don't think. I mean, there's no like splashy win, but the stats have certainly shown out. I mean, they're again, this is no surprise with Jed Fish as a head coach. I mean, you got an explosive offense that can move the football and get chunk plays, and they've got a dual threat quarterback that can do a lot of things. So they're scary. There's potential there. I don't know how really good they are, and I think we're going to find out Saturday. I think if they can keep it close with Michigan and move the football like they've been able to do this year, I think I'll feel better about them. But the 5.5 point spread makes sense to me. Michigan's at home. You mentioned the trip. Washington's schedule just hasn't been great, so I don't know. I'm curious. It's gonna be an interesting game, I think.
Life is beautiful and fragile. We fall. We get tired. And sometimes we get sick. But with Corewell Health, we are also strong. We fight disease. We battle cancer. We come together. We come back. We push forward. When the body breaks, we break through. Corewell Health. We can.
On paper, I mean, you looked at some of the guys they have in this offense, like quarterback Desmond Williams Jr., probably top elite, definitely a top 5 quarterback in the conference. I mean, maybe the best dual threat you have in the conference. I mean, this dude, when he gets in the open field and he's running, he looks like a receiver running, like he is legit and can throw the ball too. Only 1 interception this year. You got one of the best running backs in Jonah Coleman and one of the top receivers in Denzel Boston. So that's a pretty elite trio right there. Michigan's kind of struggled with opposing playmakers this season. So yeah, I think if Michigan's defense doesn't show up, it could be they could get upset on Saturday. But I don't hard to get a good read on Washington defensively. But yeah, offensively they can definitely move the ball and score some points.
Yeah, Demond Williams Jr. It's very easy to put that S in there.
Right.
I had
Oh
to,
yeah.
just
Oh, yeah.
double check myself a couple times writing it. Yeah, shorter guy. I mean, he's listed at 5'11". I think that's generous, but yeah, I mean, set the single game program record for total yards last week in that game against Rutgers. Threw for over 400, ran for 136, I think it was. Just an unbelievable game from him. And then yeah, like you mentioned, I mean, Coleman. Williams said after the game, maybe he's just being humble, but just, things were opening up for him because he felt Rutgers was really focusing on Coleman, and you could understand why. He leads the country in rushing touchdowns, total touchdowns, because he's got a receiving one as well to get him to 12. So yeah, he's definitely dangerous, and that's the biggest thing to kind of think about in this matchup. Yes, given how Michigan played defensively against USC.
100%. I think he's going to determine whether like Washington can win this game or not. Michigan's going to need to wrap up. They're going to need to tackle, and it's going to we talked about fundamentals last week and their lack of tackling. It's going to have to show up on Saturday, because if it doesn't, Demond Williams can easily pop you for 100 yards. I mean, I was watching a lot of highlights from the Rutgers game last week, and if there was open field to be had, he took it, and he would gain 10, 20 yards at a pop, and that's how you move the chains. And that's not what Michigan wants to get into. I mean, their defense was on the field for a long time last week against USC. You don't want a repeat of that Saturday against Washington, because things could clearly go sideways. I mean, this is a Washington team that they will chunk you to death as well. I mean, looking down, I think they're first or second in the country in plays of 10 and 20 yards. They aren't necessarily going to hit you for 60 or 70, but they will chunk you down the field, and they'll take what you give them. And if Michigan plays soft coverage in the passing game, they give up some of that stuff to the sidelines. That's how they're gonna get their points. So I'm really curious to see how this Michigan defense bounces back, because I think that's gonna be the telltale of whether Michigan wins this game or not. The defense has they're reeling after Saturday, and they're going to be put to the test again against the Huskies.
And it's not like they had any like excuse like like, well, this person's injured, he'll be back next week. Like they were fully healthy last week too. Like that was the healthiest they've been all year, and it didn't really matter because they had no answers.
It was a schematic breakdown. I've seen so many videos and so many analysts try and figure out what went wrong for Wink Martindale and the Michigan defense, and they were just beat schematically. Lincoln Riley had a field day with them. I mean, there were several situations where Michigan was just down a man. Receivers were left open, over pursuit the ball. It was a disaster. There's no other way to put it. I don't think you can get much worse than that. So Michigan, I mean, they in a way, the only way they can go is up here. You like to think this Michigan defense is better than what it showed Saturday against USC. And look, Washington's not going to be a cupcake. They have an athletic quarterback who can burn you through the air and on the ground. They got competent running backs, competent receivers. They like to use a tight end as well. So I don't know. It's going to be a challenge. I'm really interested to see how the unit bounces back, because things, if it's a repeat of Saturday, things could go sideways for this Michigan football team really quickly.
Yeah, as far as Washington's defense, then I mean it's been okay. I mean they're 11th, they're one spot behind Michigan, just one, not even a full yard behind Michigan as far as total defense yards per game allowed. Scoring defense, it's 10th. Again, pretty similar to Michigan as far as the numbers. Against the run though, that which Michigan's strength, you'd think, especially if Haynes is available, has been pretty good. I mean they're tied with with Michigan at third place in the Big Ten as far as yards per carry allowed, which I think is more important maybe than yards per game. So yeah, it's not like they've been bad. The strength of this team is, I think, the explosive, skill position players. But yeah, it's important to look at that side of the ball too. If we're thinking that Michigan's defense can't hold up so much, well, then it's going to be on the offense to try to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, the Washington secondary is open. I mean, they're tied for 87th in the country. They're giving up nearly 240 yards through the air. I mean, this is an opportunity for Michigan to take advantage of that. It's for Donovan McCulley, find mismatches with Donovan McCulley, utilize Andrew Marsh more. There's been talk of potentially using the tight ends more. This might be a good opportunity to do that as well. If Justice Haynes isn't available, or if he's not 100%, I mean, it won't shock me at all. Michigan's going to have to lean on Bryce Underwood in the arm on Saturday, and it's open there. I mean, Washington only has six interceptions all year, not a ton of takeaways. You can take some shots and maybe try some different things. It wouldn't shock me if this game gets into a little bit of a track meet. Washington can put up points. Michigan's gonna have to do the same thing as well. They'll obviously try and lean on the run game. That's obviously what Michigan's bread and butter and what they want to establish early. But I do think moving the football through the air is probably, for Michigan's offense, will help determine whether they can keep up.
Let's get into our predictions for this game. I think I went last week. I can go first this week. I took Washington to cover in our Big Ten picks. I'm sticking with that. And I had a real tough time with this game, but in the end, I do think Michigan's going to win. I've got 27-23. So I think the defense, it had to be a wake-up call. If not for the players, for the coaching staff too, maybe about what these players can and can't do. What's the best, schemes. Chip Lindsey talked about putting the offensive players in the best position to succeed. It's obviously true for the other side of the ball as well. So maybe that means just simplifying things. I don't know exactly, but I think they do enough to contain Williams in this Washington offense. And yeah, I think they do. Again, the travel, the road, the long distance, Michigan being at home, I'll give them the advantage, and I'll say Michigan 27, Washington 23. How about you guys?
Yeah, no, I have it being an extremely close game. I'm taking the points with Washington, but I do think, I mean, this is a must-have game for Michigan. I think they find a way to win at home. It's not always pretty, but they get it done by 1 point, 28-27.
I'm on board with you guys largely. I took Washington and the points in our picks. I was racking my brain whether to pick Michigan to win this game or pick Washington to win outright. I do think Justice Haynes playing or not playing will make a difference. Not having Haynes will kind of, in a way, make Michigan's offense a little more one-dimensional. They're going to have to lean on the run or the pass a little bit more. Yes, Jordan Marshall will be available. Yes, they'll get a lot of carries, and maybe he's fine, but you just lack the explosiveness on the ground. I think that's detrimental to Michigan's offense. So I do think that matters. Am I making my pick under the assumption that Haynes is going to play? I don't know what capacity he'll be in, but either way, I think it's a close game. I'm going to pick Washington to win Michigan to win by 3. I'll say 27-24. I'm just not sold yet on the Washington defense. They played a lot of cupcakes. They've given up some points against some bad teams. So I think they can give up some points to Michigan as well. I just don't know about this Michigan defense at this point. What type of, what their psyche is, what they're thinking, what Wink Martindale's thinking at this point, because that wasn't a good showing on Saturday. So I think Michigan plays better. I don't think they're as dominant as maybe some folks want them to be. So I'm going to take Michigan 27, Washington 24. I think it'll be a close one. I think it'd be a one possession game most of the way, and I do think the travel plays a factor too. That's playing into my handicap as well.
Yeah, I mean, to make one cross country trip is a lot in itself, but to go have 2 in a 3-week span, that's a lot of travel for the Huskies. So that's, I mean, that maybe they're more better prepared for the travel, and or maybe it starts to wear on them even more. It's kind of tough to tell, but it seems like a lot of time on a plane for the Huskies.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're all in this together for our pick, so we'll see how it goes for Michigan. 12:10 p.m. kickoff Saturday against Washington. There is a men's basketball game tomorrow, so I'll mention that. It doesn't count against their record. It's an exhibition game, but it's against Cincinnati at home, 6 p.m. at Chrysler. You can watch it on Big Ten Network Plus, their streaming service. Yeah, sort of gone are the days for many programs of playing, lower level D1 teams, or even, maybe in-state Division II programs with your exhibition games. You can play, 2, high major teams if you want, and that's what Michigan's doing. They're playing, Cincinnati here at home, and next weekend they go to Madison Square Garden to play St. John's. So Cincinnati not ranked in the top 25, did not receive any votes as well. 20 teams outside of the top 25 got votes. They were not among them, but a little better in the Ken Palm preseason rankings. They're at 36. Dusty thinks they'll be good and unique. That's part of the reason he scheduled them. He wants to play really good teams. He doesn't care so much if they get exposed. That's the whole point, I guess, is what he's thinking in these early season games. But yeah, Michigan men at number 7 in the preseason AP poll, which came out since we last talked. So, yeah, that should be something, chance to see the highly ranked Michigan Wolverines, for the first time against another team this year. The women play one exhibition, and it is kind of the way the old school way. They're playing Ferris State, but that's not till October 30th. So this is earlier in the year than typical, and a better opponent. But Michigan Cincinnati in an exhibition game Friday night.
Yeah, busy weekend in Ann Arbor. I mean, Michigan hockey plays Thursday or tonight and Friday against Robert Morris too. So there'll be a lot going on around on campus on Friday night for sure. But yeah, Michigan hockey 4-0 start, swept number 7 Providence last week, and I mean Robert Morris is a pretty lowly team too. I would be very shocked if Michigan doesn't begin the year 6-0.
There we go. About to be that time of year where we start talking about winter sports as well on the podcast. You can read all about it at mlive.com/Wolverines. Thanks for listening.